Well, hello everyone, Texie88 here and welcome to another review. And now we're taking a look at Batman for the ZX Spectrum. It was released in both 48K and 128K versions, although it's the latter that we'll be looking at here. And the game was programmed by John Rittman and Bernie Drummond. Those are the only two names I've seen against this particular release. The game also came out for the Amstrad CPC and the MSX. And we start off getting this one chance to get it right, attempt at determining what controls we're going to use. We're going to make it keys and we'll take a look at the keys. Now, although normally I'd be using QZIP for up, down, left, right, just for brevity and to get this this on the road, I'm going to use the QAOP that's already some of the selections here. As you can see, there are other selections. For instance, I could, for left as well as O, I could use 6 or joystick left. But just for brevity, I'm just going to leave these as is. I mean, I prefer QZIP, but I can quite happily use QAOP if it needs be. Control sensitivity speaks for itself. You can adjust the sound. The lower down the choices you go, the less sound effects are played. Even the 48K version has this, so it's not 128K specific. And we'll just play the game. So these are 7 parts of the Batcraft that Batman has to assemble. They're scattered all around the Batcave, and he has to do that because Robin's been kidnapped, and only once he's reassembled the Batcraft will he be able to go off and rescue him. But goodness knows how all these characters managed to get in, or even what the hell those things are. But hey ho! Now, before he can even think about getting even just one of those 7 Batcraft parts, not only does he have to find them, but he has to pick up 4 items, which are shown in the bottom right corner, of which I've just picked up 1. Now that bag I've just picked up allows Batman to be able to pick up objects. Prior to that, I couldn't do it. And another thing he can't do at the moment is jump. And that would continue to be the case until he picks up these boots that are very close to me now. Right, as of now I can jump. Before I pick those up, pressing any kind of action that would have made him jump won't do it. Shit, damn it! I was jutting out a bit too much there. But luckily you don't. But luckily, even when you die, any of the 4 items in the bottom right corner there that you've picked up stay picked up, so I don't have to pick it up again. Oh, come on! The baddies in this are really unpredictable. Now, what that fish-like thing I just picked up is actually, well, it seems as if the instructions call it a red herring. Although, despite that name, it's actually quite useful. You see it? I'm having to be careful with those blocks. I can't touch them; they'll kill me. But going, and I also can't touch floors that look like that. But yeah, back to that red herring. if you the most recent one of those that you've picked up that you haven't already used, emphasis on haven't already used, allows you to restart to the at the most recently picked up one of those. But if you've used it, then you'll go back to either that one, or then you can opt to restart to as either an old game or a new game. A new game will start from scratch as if you'd not played at all during a game session, whereas an old game will start you at the most recently picked up red herring that you haven't already used. Now that Batman shaped pill that I've just picked up is one of a selection that powers up, although you have to be careful. Some of the ones that are scattered around the place actually don't hinder rather than help. The one I picked up is a speed pill, and I can see where just slightly to the left of the bottom middle of the screen, you can see the number 12 below a lightning icon. That's how every time I take a step that depletes, and now it's worn out completely, so I'm back to regular speed. And you can see in here there's the jetpack over by that wall. Had I not picked up the boots, I wouldn't have been able to get that at all, because I wouldn't have been able to jump. The trouble is, I have to jump right from the very edge, otherwise I'll fall on the floor like I did just a few moments ago. Right, now I've got the jetpack. I can now continuously move forward as I descend, which is and as well as change direction mid jump, neither of which is possible without that. The only item left to get now is the bat belt. Right. Oh, the jump didn't respond. So I'm going to die now because I can't get out of this. Yeah, as you've seen from that room, some blocks disappear. Another speed pill. The other pills you can get are in invincibility or super jump. And there's the bat belt on that ledge there. Now that jump I've just done to get onto this conveyor belt is only possible because of the speed pill I'd picked up a few rooms earlier. Otherwise, I wouldn't have made it that. I wouldn't have been able to jump that far. Now I don't now when I'm falling, I don't descend as quickly as I did thanks to that belt. I've now picked up all 4 of the items that are in the bottom right corner, so I'm now fully set to be able to pick up the different parts of the Batcraft. Oh god. Ow, crap. One problem with a lot of 3D isometric games is that it's really hard to tell precisely where you are in relation to other objects and sometimes enemies, so you might end up hitting something which you thought you were in the right place to avoid, but you later find out you actually weren't. Another speed pill. Yeah. Oh gosh. Thank God. Oh. Yeah, I better get off that one. I'm going to die. A lot of the enemies, when they collide with something, will change direction randomly. There are some enemies that will change direction no matter what, and when they do, you just don't know which direction they're going to go in. Now, in the corner there, you can actually see one of the Batcraft pieces. So somehow I've got to get over there. Right, so I died 10 times and explored 34 rooms. I mean, some of those Batman-shaped pills can give you an extra life as well. Now, I'm going to demonstrate, though, the red herring things that I mentioned earlier. So by pressing play the game again. So you've got old game and new game. New game will start a game from scratch as if you hadn't picked up any of those. Old game, by comparison, will put me right back to the most recently collected red herring that I haven't already used. So if I were to lose all my lives now, I'd go back to the one I picked up in prior to the one that was on the top of those cases. And I'm going to demonstrate something else with that super springy thing that I've just picked up. You can't take objects like that into other rooms. They're confined to the room that you found them in. And another thing, you may notice that the number of lives, which is in the bottom left corner, is exactly what it was at the time of picking up that particular red herring. You don't get all your lives back. So that's another thing that you might want to bear in mind when playing. Now, this room I have to do the alternative method by making a staircase with these pots. You won't be able to see the staircase I'm building, but it will be there. Which in turn brings me on to another problem which is shared with a lot of 3D isometric games of this particular era. As well as the problem sometimes it not being clear where you are in relation to other objects, there's also the problems that sometimes things in the foreground obscure things that in the background. But what I did there was use those 3 pots to make a staircase leading up to this conveyor belt, since I don't have the speed pill that I had last time I was in this room. Pills like that don't come back even when you use a red herring to respawn from. And because I hadn't picked up the bat belt at the time of getting that particular red herring, I had to pick that up again. Another thing that's kind of annoying about this game is, as you know from my previous room going in this room, you see this wall here. Well, it looks like a wall, but I can actually walk through it and it goes into another part of the room. However, if I were to, in this room, I'm not going to do it because there's a risk of death, and I don't need to. But I know that if I was to do the same thing with that cyan-coloured wall on the bottom left corner of the view, it would just act like a regular wall. It would have been nice if there could have been some definitive clue as to which one of the ones of those allow you to continue on, as if there was no wall there, and ones which genuinely are a wall. Leaving it to experimentation is kind of annoying. I've got no reason to go up those cases this time. The pill that was on the top shelf, top case, is no longer there. Oh, that second case disappears. Yeah, this room's utterly pointless, so I just got to use these objects and go back the way I came. There's no other way through. Nice detailed graphics when you consider that Spectrum was never meant to be in a games machine, and that And of course, there's the ever. Oh! Design choices like that are quite annoying. If you have a moment and forget that first case that you step on after dropping down from that door disappears, it's very easy to instantly lose a life. Oh, I'm back in this room, am I? Luckily, I can influence the direction of that this particular platform moves. I'll go in this door this time since it's clear that I haven't got the means of get. Oh, that blooming baddie got in the way and sent the platform back in the opposite direction. Yeah, what these things that look like Dalton stairs that you can go up don't seem to do anything, so they're probably just scenery by the looks of things. Oh, that's way up in the air. So no point even trying to jump up there. So again, that wall doesn't look any different to that bit in that earlier room where I could actually continue on and go to another part of the area. It would have been nice if there could have been some kind of clarification as to another speed pill. I'm too afraid to pick that one up in case it's one of those that cancels any. Oh, after all that, and I picked up one that cancels it anyway. Do I want to go through there? Not just yet. Oh well. Can't go in that door this time. Luckily, if you made right pigs ear of a room, you can go back out, get out, and unless you can't reach a door that you might have fallen from, then you can actually go out and back into the room, and everything that disappeared will reappear, and everything will go back into its original position. Oh God! Ah! Sometimes if you lose your last life, you'll get a dog's life, which basically is a last chance saloon, giving you one more chance to try with the current session. Now I'm going to demonstrate. Now I've picked old game again, but this time it's not going to put me back to the bit just before, just after I picked up the jetpack. It's going to put me back to the one I picked up before that. So as you can see in the bottom right corner, and the fact that I'm in the room that contained the first of the red herrings that I picked up. I've got to go and go to the room that contains the jetpack and pick it up again. But because I had 6 lives left when I actually got that particular red herring, that's how many lives I respawned at that with. And I managed to avoid falling on that spiky floor this time. Don't jump for that pirate head. It doesn't end well for our hero. Oh yeah, no point going that way. I can't get that pill from where I am. And the speed pill, it was in this room initially. Even if you hadn't picked it up at the time of any previously used red herring no longer being accessible, it still doesn't come back. You have to start afresh to get all of the power pills back. And some of the puzzles in some of these rooms can be quite fiendish and tax your brain. This one's a simple one. You just get those 2 elephants' feet and make a means of being able to get up to that door. And notice how because I'd already collected that particular red herring that was on top of those 3 cases previously, even though I was spawned at the one before the time I originally collected that one, it still doesn't come back. As with the power pills, you still have to play a new game in order to get all of that back. Oh, for God's sake. I wasn't quite far enough forward. Again, until I've picked up that jetpack, I'll just go straight down. The moment I hit the apex of a jump, I won't be able to continuously go forward the way I'll be able to once I've picked up that jetpack. Again, I wasn't quite forward far enough. Yeah, well, whenever you pick up an item that's above one of those dangerous to land on floors, you really want to jump on it and get ready to hold a different direction when you pick it up, because if you just walk onto it, then you're going to fall onto the floor and die. So, as you saw in one of the rooms I went in earlier, which that one that had the one of the pieces of the Batcraft I'm trying to build, just picking it up is not enough. You've also got to take it to a specific room, which is where the actual craft is built. So every time you pick it up, you've got to try and find your way back to that same room to apply it to any of the pieces that you've collected previously. And bear in mind, this isn't exact for its time. It's not exactly a titchy game. There are definitely over 100 rooms, even on the 48K version. So as I was saying, the graphics really look quite nice. Monochrome for the most part. Obviously, you can imagine the attribute problems there would have been if they tried to put too much colour into this. I mean, they tried to put a bit of flashes of colour into something like, say, Sigma 7, and although it didn't entirely ruin it, there was noticeable clash. Another red herring. Another speed pill. Yeah, you quite often have to prepare yourself for the possibility that some platforms disappear, such as those steps to lead up to that door. Until you've actually been to a room, you don't know which ones disappear and which don't necessarily. Now, put that elephant's foot on top of that strange enemy first, simply because if I don't, I won't be able to get onto this conveyor belt because it'll be too high. And the other reason is I can't land on that enemy that uppermost elephant's foot is resting on. Contact with that is instant death. I wonder what I need to do with these. Yeah, you guessed it, make a staircase. It's a shame that the puzzles aren't always as simple as as this particular one, but where's the fun in that, eh? And the controls handle really well for the most part. And it's actually possible to have say a button you press for jump to also pick up, and which is because the button used to drop something is the same as the one to pick up. So I know from previous experience that there are times when you want to be able to drop an object at the same time as jump off it in case you needed that particular item in order to be able to do another jump. The reason being that if you didn't take an object with you, you might not be able to do the next jump in sequence to get up to another platform. Now these things that are smiling faces, they don't kill you. In fact, they're helpful. Some of them you can push, some of them you can't. Again, you just got to demonstrate. These are other objects that are super springy. I just flick the switch up there to stop those enemies from not only moving but kicking that question mark ball about, because I don't think it'd be a good idea for Batman to make any contact with any of those. Can I go through here? No. So I mean, you can't tell until you tried it. You can't tell which ones will continue to another part of what's essentially amounts to a bigger room. I mean, obviously, if there's a door there. Here's an example of what I was just trying to explain. One of the default settings is that one of the buttons you can press to jump is which is the space bar, does both that and pick up / drop. So I just press space there, and by pressing space then, it meant I could actually drop the item and pick up the item and jump while still using its powers. And this is an example of a room in which I've got to be able to do that. So don't be afraid to have a button choice that does both jumping and picking up / dropping, because it will make rooms like this a lot easier than they might otherwise have been. See, I both picked up that super swingy board and jumped higher as if it was still there, because without taking it with me, I wouldn't have been able to do the next jump in sequence. So I think I can call time on the review here. You get an idea what you're trying to do. You're trying to find and successfully collect all of the 7 pieces of the Batcraft, and be able. And be able to take it to a specific room. Oh darn, that was unfortunate. So yeah, Batman 1986, the 3D isometric arcade adventure style game where graphics are really quite nice for a game of its era. Nice, for the most part, nice and clear. Although, as I said earlier, some of the aspects of 3D isometric views can make it a bit confusing to be able to tell, for example, what might be hidden out of view behind an object in the foreground, such as those pots when I was trying to make that staircase in that room below the one containing the bat belt. Or being able to tell exactly how well positioned you are in relation to things like blocks that will kill you if you touch them, or even enemies themselves. But other than that, generally there's some satisfying gameplay in this. And some of the puzzles will certainly get your grey matter working. And I love there's some nice little touches. So if you leave Batman immobile for a while, he starts to look towards you and taps his feet, saying, "Get on with it. I'm getting bored here." It's nice little touches like that that can help make a good and or effective game seem great. Sound. Well, obviously, as I said, there are 3 different sound settings. This is the one which has the most sound playing, and it's not overly distracting. In fact, it's quite charming. Even on the 48K version, there would have been the same sound options. It's just because the 48K Spectrum doesn't have the AY sound chip that was in the 128K Spectrum. It doesn't sound it doesn't sound quite as pleasant. In fact, the 48K Spectrum didn't have any kind of sound chip. It was all done via the CPU. So I can't really fault the sound, especially for a game from 1986. Gameplay, well, some of the things I mentioned in graphics about the problems caused by the 3D isometric viewpoint in general for games like this. So will also equally apply in this facet of the review. It's also a shame that they weren't actually able to get Robin to be a controllable character. But for what I understand from what I looked up about this game, they thought about doing that, but thought it was a bit too complicated and couldn't find a way of making it work to be able to switch between Batman and Robin. So they put in the plot device of Robin getting kidnapped and leaving Batman by himself. Luckily, it wasn't all that long before they found a workaround that allowed that just such an ability to happen in the game head over heels. But that's a story for another day, I think. And it is a bit strange that you can't take a picked up object into another room with you. And it's also a bit shame that you can't always respawn from the most recently picked up red herring. It's only ever going to be the most recently picked up red herring that you haven't already used as a previous spawn point. That's why the second time I selected old game from the play the game submenu, it took me back to the one I collected prior to the one I spawned at on the second run through. But all in all, while those slight niggles mean I can't really give this a 9 as much as I'd like to, I'm happy to give this game 8 out of 10, despite the frustrations of 3D isometric games of this ilk. By and large, from what I've seen of this game, it's generally less of a problem in this than it has been in some other titles, like Night Law, for instance, which was a game published by Ultimate Play the Game, who are now better known as Rare. So yeah, 8 out of 10 for the ZX Spectrum 1986 game Batman. Which, while it admittedly doesn't really have a huge amount to do with Batman, if you think about it, at least it's one game that makes use of an additional license that hasn't resulted in an absolutely crap game, which it quite often can happen when so much is paid for a license. There's little left for little budget left for an actual decent game. It'd be very churlish and cruel to say that this particular Batman game falls into that category. Yeah, I mean, yes, it doesn't have a huge amount to do with Batman, but generally it's kind of fun to play, and the puzzles will at least initially test your grey matter a bit. So this is still worth checking out even after all this time. So now, hope you enjoyed this review. Catch you on another video soon. Texie88 out.